Hey everyone, welcome to the Bruce Williams channel. On my wrist today is a wild watch that we're going to take a closer look at in this video. This is a new release from Atowak. Now, I've previously reviewed a couple different Atowak watches over the years. Most recently, their Tourbillon, which is called the Core. My favorite, which is called the Spaceship. That's their best-selling model to date. Very futuristic, very different, kind of cutting edge in terms of looks, interesting materials, custom shapes. If I had to compare Atowak to another brand, I think it compares most similarly to MBMF. So it's kind of an out there brand. If you're looking for a traditional watch, you want a diver, you want a field watch, you want a pilot's piece, this is not the brand for you. If you want an attention-grabbing watch, I think you would gravitate toward Atowak. I see the brand as more of an accent addition to a varied watch collection when you want to wear something like no other. When you go out to a Red Bar event or a watch collector meetup, you don't want to put on a predictable Speedmaster or Submariner or Tissot PRX or SKX or whatever the case may be. You want something different. You want something eye-catching. You want a conversation starter. That's where I feel Atowak sits in the watch market. So let's take a closer look at this new release, the Cosmo Fleet. This has an interesting variation of the Wandering Hours complication. Atowak refers to this as a vectoral orbit wandering hours. So there's a tri-spoke system that is crafted out of matte titanium. You'll notice beveled edging, and this rotates around the dial, which again is non-traditionally shaped. The entire case, the crystal shape, the way the complication is laid out, again, non-traditional. It's artful. It's, I wouldn't say steampunk, but it is almost industrial engineered to an art level. It's a little bit out there. So this is how you read the time. You see that red indicator, and that floats along the bottom index between 0 and 60. And that is indicating the minute reference of every hour. And then to read the hour, you simply look at that rotating, that orbital piece of titanium that has the red superluminova for the hours. There's 3 different members on this tri-spoke system. So whichever one is pointed down at the minute indexing, that's the hour. So admittedly, this is not a watch that you can easily read at a glance. This is not going to be, one of those high contrast dials. No, again, this is something that's out there, something that's a conversation starter, something that's meant to be unique and to be artful. The case, on the other hand, is crafted out of grade 5 titanium, and it is machined to a tolerance of 0.02 millimeters, so quite a tight tolerance. It takes Atowak a little under 4.5 hours to machine one case, so it's non-traditional in the form. It's got a lot of curved elements, angled elements. The case is also arced on the bottom portion of the case back, so it sits on your wrist nicely and kind of conforms to the natural curvature of your wrist. The crystal on the watch is a double domed shape, but again, very irregular. This is machined to a tolerance of 0.01 millimeters to fit within this grade 5 titanium irregular opening case. And you know what I will say, even though there is ARC, it does not do an adequate job of minimizing reflections, especially if you're outside in natural light. I actually had probably the most difficult time I've ever had in filming or photographing a watch outside because of all the distracting, crisp, clean reflections that my camera wanted to focus in on. So that's kind of my big knock against the watch, is it's not super legible and the reflections make it kind of a nightmare to read outside. Outside of that, though, it's a really fun piece. Going in on a macro level, though, you'll notice a micro laser engraved Atowak logo in the bottom portion of this sapphire crystal. There's also a logo on what you would consider the dial, which is crafted out of coated copper. There's some nice texturing. There's some nice purling. Again, it's very layered. The crown is up at the 12 o'clock position, and there's a lot of grip here on the angled coin edging. So it's easy to wind. It's easy to adjust the time of this vectoral orbital wandering hours complication. And then turning the watch over and taking a look at the case back, you'll see a partial exhibition crystal. It's an elongated oval opening behind which you will see the AK06CA movement, which is the designation from Atowak. Essentially, it's a Japanese-made Miyota 9029 base that has an Atowak-developed vectoral orbit wandering hours module that's affixed to the dial side of the movement, and they refer to that as the VOW module. 38 hours of power reserve, which really, if you think about, is not a lot in today's standards of 60 plus hours of power reserve at a far lower price point than this watch sits at. But you also consider this massive titanium tri-spoke wandering hours complication. So you're moving that around the dial, and then you're also moving or twisting the hour indicators. So there's a lot of power that's drained from this mainspring just operating the hours system. So I would say 38 hours really isn't all that bad when it comes to just the weight that's being moved around by the movement. You'll see tasteful finishing on the Miyota movement. Miyota is the citizen movement arm out of Japan, and the movement is unidirectionally winding when it comes to this rotor. So the rotor does go in both directions, but it only winds the mainspring when it's going in one direction. And so you can audibly hear it spinning around. If you flick your wrist just right, I don't know if you can pick that up with a microphone, but that rotor just goes to town spinning around. That's referred to as the Miyota wobble. It's kind of an endearing term of, feeling the fact that you have an automatic movement on your wrist. Valjoux is another brand that does that. Le Joux Perret is another brand that does that. Some watch collectors hate it. Some watch collectors don't care, which is the camp that I would be in. And some watch collectors actually really like being reminded that they're wearing an automatic mechanical timepiece. Inside the box is an additional strap. So I'm wearing it on the rubber strap that has a ballistic nylon inlay and red contrast stitching to match the red indexing found on the wandering hours. I like the look, but it also has an included Italian leather strap, which I think is always nice to see from a brand giving us a couple different options as consumers. Now, the retail price or the pre-order price will be $2,999. So it's a pretty penny. It's $3,000 essentially for a Miyota base wandering hours watch with exotic materials, definitely original design language. I know some watch collectors are going to think that that's a great deal. Other watch collectors will say, no way, I'm going to buy a Black Bay with the same money. It really just depends where you are in your watch collecting journey and what you value. Are you looking for a daily driver? Are you looking for something conservative? Are you looking for something in-house? Or have you passed that phase? Are you looking to add variety? Are you looking to add art? Are you looking to add kind of a wild card conversation starter, something different, something non-predictable? So really kind of just depends on where you are in your collecting journey. But I'll leave a link to Atowak's website here in the description of the video. Check out all the colors, all the strap options, everything that they are putting forward with this Cosmo Fleet. Please let me know if you have any questions. Thank you for watching today. I'll see you next time.